Alright, it's fucking Navrin here with another casualty with another StarCraft video. Oh my god. I just played this game. I literally like hot off the fucking presses this game, and this game was fucking crazy. It wasn't supposed to be crazy, but then it turned crazy. And so the craziness is sort of a bonus. Cause I thought, I had the ZvZ matchup was pretty fucking just like you just do shit, and then whoever makes more drones and then is able to defend with cost efficiently wins the game, right? Yeah, but it's not like that. I mean, it is like that, but there's little nuances in this fucking game. That and then some certain rules that I don't know yet, but after this, watching this replay, I will know. Rules that exist, but that I have not followed. And since the rules have not been followed, craziness has ensued. Alright, so I'm playing on King's. This is King Sejong Station. I'm the blue Zerg. I'm against some red Zerg guy called Bab. And they played it pretty standard. It was pretty well, but anyways, this game was it began as something a little uncommon, which is no one did Ling Bane floods, even though we both opened like a safe Bane nest. And it transgressed into some sort of crazy ass game. So in King Sejong, some people like to do early pools. I mean, that's kind of true for every map, but this is one of those maps where, your ramp is pretty far away from natural, so you can't sit queens and then lings attack your hatch, and you can't really defend it like that. I guess you can sort of move back and forth and kite, but if you get no regretted and then get ling flooded, then you're fucked. But the nice thing about this map is that your overlord sees the expansion timing pretty soon. So it looks like it's pretty much the identical builds. Looks like I'm just mined a bit more gas, and I guess they might subsequently mine a bit more minerals. They pulled one off gas here, which is really nice for them. I'd say that's the advantage. But there's something that I would realize really commonly is I was watching Sort of stream, and he was like, maybe it was just that day where he was just having a bad day, but he was just whining about ZvZ and about skillless matchup and stuff, and like how you have to open an early Bane nest, because if people Ling flood you, then you might die, or they Ling Bane flood you, you might die. If they Ling flood you and you build an extra queen or whatever, then it's fine, but you still might get your third cancelled. So he opened Bane nest first, and the other guy opened fucking nothing. Like fucking nothing, just nothing but drones. And then he was like, "This guy's fucking playing single player, man. This fucking shit's bullshit. Now he's fucking ahead because he coin flipped." And like I used to think like that, but then like that just gets you mad. So right now I just try to not think of anything like that. Like I just don't think about what my opponent is doing, like at all. Like I scout and that's it, but I don't try to think about who's ahead or who's not ahead. Because in my opinion, you don't lose the game if you're a little bit behind. If you open Bane Nest and the other person didn't open Bane Nest, that's 100 minerals and 50 gas. It's kind of down the drain, kinda. But you don't lose the game because of that, right? There's a defender's advantage, so if you macro, you're not going to just lose. So right now, they made like a shit ton of lings, so I want to talk about this. Is that I usually, like on Frozen Temple or something, or on this map, I like to go for a third queen, but I usually get the hatch first. But the reason I got the queen and I didn't cancel it and get a hatch was because I saw that their hatch wasn't too quick as well. Because they sort of delayed the third hatch. Because a lot of times, those people who like Ling flood you, and then they just keep Ling flooding your third, they grab that third hatch really, really quickly. And it's not really because they want to saturate it quicker, it's because they want the larva, right? But if you do that, and you're the defensive player and you don't make that extra queen or whatever, then a lot of times you might get completely and utterly cucked. But this way I made a third queen and I got some creep spread. There's this fucking mosquito in my face. Alright, it's been here for like the last 2 days, and I'm so fucking sick and tired of it. It like taunts me. Anyways, so they made a shit ton of Lings, right? So I'm kind of ahead in drones. I kind of want to go back a bit, sorry. It's just, I want to see. Yeah, so they made like that shit ton of Lings. And we're actually even in supply. As you can see, they made 2 Bane Lings. They have 19 Lings. And we're both like even on drones. And a lot of it is because I made the Evo Chamber and the Roach Warren, whereas they didn't. But they made the extra gas geysers. I only have 3 gas geysers. So I feel like I should have been a bit more diligent on my droning. But I do have... No, I was going to say I had more Overlords, but they just made 3 right there. So even though they made that many Lings, I should have been more ahead in drones, right? As is, I'm only like 4 ahead. And that's because I just wasn't diligent enough. So one of the things was I was kind of scared. I remember playing this game just fucking 5 minutes ago. I was a little bit scared because... And I shouldn't be. That's one of the bad habits I had, is that I have units. I had Lings. If I was GSL Code S, I wouldn't even make these defensive Bane Lings. I would have waited. Because I have Overlord vision everywhere. I invested in Overlord speed too. And I have Lings to make Banes. So I should be doing nothing but spamming drones. But my opponent, who made that many Lings, is a little bit behind. And this is something that I noticed as well. Is that if you have those set of Lings, you're like, I'm defensive against everything. I can literally just keep droning. And that's kind of like what, when people like early pool, like ZVP or ZVT, the early pool, and then they're behind, but they just go hard on the drones because they know that their early cheese thing, they have units, so they don't need to worry about any sort of, like if they make nothing but drones, they should be alive. But as is, I'm going to pause it here, I wasn't that diligent on making drones, and my income could have been way, way better. So here they made more Lings. They just made more Lings. They have 35 fucking Lings. I kind of see this with my Overlord, so I'm kind of scared. But I have those 2 Banelings. I have a Roach Warren, so I can make Roaches to defend. But I also scouted that they had a Spire. So one of the things I'm trying to work on is that when I scout Spire, I want to do nothing but make 66 drones and make those spores. So I actually have to go above 66 drones, and because I have to make all the spore crawlers too. So I ended up doing this, and I'm getting the Hydra Den. Recently, I've discovered that I don't really want to go Infestation Pit for the Infestors, because if they just go 8 Mutas and then they make those Roaches, or like Lurkers or whatever, Muta, like 8 Muta into Lurker, very common thing, then the Infestors actually fucking do nothing. I feel like if you're gonna go for that mass queen into Infestors, then you're better off just securing a 4th base and then grabbing Ultras. Because the queens actually do something at that point, and the Infestors aren't so... They're backed by the substance of the queens. So, as is, I do climb ahead in drones. So that is my advantage. This is why I don't like going Mutas. Because while you're... Like, theoretically, while the Muta player is making Mutas, I'm making drones. And they can't really do anything. And a lot of times you see Muta players like, can they get to Mutas, you know? And they have to put spine crawlers down. It's like, okay, if you know that's happening, then you should do nothing but make drones, and then you should be ahead in economy. So the only problem is that I'm kind of down a base. Their base is quicker than mine, and I saw that they're going hive too. Oh, actually, didn't. I see it later on. So once I do scout, yeah, I send the overseer here, and so I'm actually at that drone count, and they've caught back up because they made those Mutas, right? They have map control, they're making drones. They know that there's no giant Nidus coming. They saw all those Hydras. So the only thing they're scared about is a big Roach Hydra push, which I execute. But if I executed well, alright, this game would not have devolved into craziness. This game is still pretty standard right now. That 3-stack is pissing me off. That's 2 3-stacks. That's really pissing me off. So one of the rules that I was talking about earlier is that one of the rules I'm giving to myself is have 1 Hydra for every Mutalisk. 1 versus 1, Hydra versus Muta, the Hydra wins. Especially when I have upgrades. And upgrades are better for Hydras than Mutas, right? They fucking do a shit ton of damage, and Mutas don't really do that much. So here's the Roach Hydra push, right? I have a bigger army. And they're just Ling Bane. They don't have Bane speed yet. So, technically, by all counts, I look at this, I should just kill this base and then back the fuck off. Because I see there's Baneling capability. And I also saw that there's no Bane speed. So the reason they're not defending this, if they had Bane speed, they would have defended, right? There's a bit of creep here. The Banelings can't come. So, as is, I kill that base, I back the fuck up, I drone my 4th. I'm getting a Lurker Den because I saw that there was a hive. And when I scouted with the Overseer, I also saw the Baneling nest was shaking, and I also saw that the Spire was shaking too. So I was thinking that this is going to be Ling Bane Muta into probably Ultralisk, right? So, because I feel like if the Spire wasn't shaking, then they'd rush Broodlords. But even though Broodlords are kind of like shitty, it's more common to go Ultras, but, you know, there's no Broodlord capability. Because if the Hive is finished and the Spire is still upgrading, it's not going to integrate the Spire. I mean, they can, but... So I see this. The Bane speed is finished. And right now, I'm up by, like, so much supply. I should just turn tail and run. Like fucking Luna says in Dota, right? But, and we're trading... We were trading evenly. And then I started taking these shitty trades. The Roaches are all dead from the Mutas. There are only 7 Mutas, so... I do have that 1-1 thing. But the Roaches... kind of died fighting the Lings here. They're supposed to fight the Lings and the Banes. But if I just ran, it doesn't matter because they had enough army to defend. Like right here, I'm up by 40 supply. Why don't I just back away? I guess they're about to save up for altars. So right here, the correct decision, back away. I have spores here. I have roaches. I can clog up chokes with the roaches. They can't kill me. They can't kill the 4th base. And they wouldn't try to if they respected that defense. If they did, they would have just threw away their entire army. But instead, it's fucking role reversal. I didn't respect shit. And as is, even with the best splits NA, you know, it's like TVZ, you know, Marines versus Banelings. How do you beat Banes? Well, you micro. But if they have enough Banelings, they're gonna defend. And as is, I lose all my shit. And one of those small rules in ZvZ is every time you lose that Hydra army, this is kind of like ZVP right now, kind of like ZVP, where I'm the Zerg, I'm the Protoss, and as soon as I lose that entire army, I'm in shambles, right? But as is, I still do have those spores. Thank God for those spores. If I didn't have those spores, this base would have been dead. And as is, I can only defend. I can make my defense with just roaches. So there's 3 ultras on the way. I know ultras are on the way. I know that they're on 3 base saturation. I'm on 3 base saturation. So that's the only thing I'm going for me right now. So I make 10 drones, and I have the lurker capability. So what I'm thinking here is that the only way they can... So that was one of the rules. I'm just fucking going back and forth. So that was the rules. That if they have Ling, Bane, Muta, and with speed, then even with the Hydras, whatever, you just gotta back. Even with that perfect ratio of Roaches and Hydras. Because I didn't overmake Hydras, in my opinion. And I didn't actually see this here. I was concentrating on fucking this part. So, Lurkers is like they're best when they're defensive. I don't think anybody really argues that. I guess some Protosses might say that they're amazing when they're offensive. But, like, you want the enemy to come into your Lurkers and lose all their shit, right? But they had ultras here, so I guess I don't remember if they attacked. But technically, income-wise, I'm ahead just now, but they just got their 4th base, so right now I'm just trying to remake my army. And I'm actually up in supply right here, even though I took a really bad trade. And that's because most of my army are in roaches, whereas they have a lot in fucking all this shit. They have a Greater Spire finished already. So I didn't know this thus yet. But if I was on top of my scouting, and if I kept that Overseer, I would have scouted. But I didn't, so that's just me being lazy. But if I knew there were Broodlords, or I just sent a Ling or anything, you know, then I would have known there were Broodlords. As is, I think I was watching Cat stream once, and he said that Broodlords are one of the best ways to throw a game in ZvZ. I kind of agreed in this situation, because I went for the attack here, and I just had Roaches, Hydras, and Lurkers. I had 2 Lurkers here, because I knew they broke the back rocks. If they sent some Lings here, that would have been really annoying. I thought I sent some Roaches, but I think I re-hockeyed them. So as is, I see that I'm trying to deny the space. I don't have vision of this. I scout this later on, or maybe I scouted earlier. But the Lurkers aren't shooting just yet. I do have a massive concave, but the Lurkers aren't shooting just yet. So now they're shooting, but it's still Ultras, 6-2 Ultras versus only 2-0. And I'm about to have 1 armor. But the Mutas clean up the Lurkers, and I'm like, oh shit, this is where I'm fucking dead. But as is, actually, their army is fucking huge. Okay, I just remaxed there. I made 15 Hydras there, because I knew that there was Broodlords. But I know that they don't really have any bulk to, like, tank for the Broodlords. Now they're making Lings, so if they ever, like, dry Broodlords, this is something I do, is run in with just Broodlords. I'm like, oh, I have fucking GG Lords, I should just win the game. And I run in with Broodlords, and then the fucking, like, a shit ton of Marines just walk up and kill every single one, focus fire them, or, like, Blink Stalkers just blink under them. I just lost the game, like, 2 fucking, like, before this one, or that shit just happened. So I didn't know I was still so ahead in supply, but they have quite a bit of bank. And their army is much, much more cost efficient than mine. I have nothing but Roach Hydra right now, right? I'm making more Hydras. And so I know that the Broodlords are immobile. That's the only thing I'm counting on. I'm trying to buy time for my Spire to make nothing but Corruptors, because the only anti-air they have are Mutas and Corruptors, and they don't have too many of them, right? And they're investing nothing into Ling and Bane. So I knew that if I just made... I was thinking of making Mutas, but I also knew that they had upgrades on their air. Well, +1. But the Mutas kill the Broodlords way too slow. The only good thing about Mutas is that they're quick. They're quicker. But that's literally it. So here, all my Roaches are dead, and I'm just trying to kite as best as I can. And Hydras do pretty decent against Ultras, I guess. They're not amazing, but they're not too terrible. Kind of like Marauders, if you like kite them well enough. So I'm making nothing but Corruptors. I know that they're really immobile, and I know that as soon as they defend my counterattack, they're gonna push, right? Because I have that many bases. They know I have that many bases, and they're here to push. So with these 10 Corruptors, I'm hoping that, and these Hydras, these Hydras were monumental. If I lost those Hydras, I would have been, this game might have been even more in trouble, because the Hydras do, if they did keep making Corruptors, right, and it got really sluggish, then the Hydras might give that extra DPS to win that air versus air dominance control, whatever. So the Broodlords come in here, and they have Ling Bane, so they actually clean up all my shit here. So that's kind of sad. But there's nothing, and this game just turned crazy, right? And I fucking take a supply dip. I mean, I remax, but still, it's still pretty bad. They killed the base, but I still have another base here, so I'm still technically on 4 base. They're on 5 base, so they have the income advantage, kind of. Well, they should. They're about to take it. They're about to take their income advantage. But I know that, and this is why I discovered that Cat sort of said that, you know, it's Broodlords are a great way to throw the game, because right here, I just made nothing but Corruptors, and then they were making Corruptors too, but they just didn't have enough. And I can't, once I see the Ultras and the Banelings, I go back to, okay, I need fucking Lurkers again, right? Because I need something to kill the Ultras. I'm still on layer tech, and there's no hive, there's no infestation pit. So there's no way I'm getting Broodlords myself from these Corruptors. And even if I could, I wouldn't, because they could do the same thing and make Corruptors. But the great thing about Legacy is that I could just kill a base that way. And I go and do this to that base too. And they can't really stop it because they lost air dominance. They're making 8 more Corruptors to prevent it, but the damage is already done. So I know that all I need to do is defend against the air battle is won. Even if I lose it now, all I have to worry about is I'm on 5 base, and I just have to worry about defending this. And I knew that a lot of gas, so Lurkers were a great way to do it. So it got really fucking crazy here. I mean, the Corruptors are just fucking jacking off. And they have no detection. Even at that detection, lurkers like shred versus armor 36, right? It doesn't give anything give a fuck if you have 8 armor ultras, alright? The lurkers just shred through. So that's the fucking video. It's been fucking 20 minutes for a 50-minute replay, but yeah, catch you guys next time.